The alarm rang through the Galactic Council chamber like a scream. Red lights flashed on every wall as the emergency meeting began. Representatives from dozens of worlds filled their seats quickly. Their faces showed fear and worry. Ambassador Zethkara from the Vegan Collective stood at the center. Her blue skin was pale with stress. The long tentacles on her head moved in quick, nervous patterns. She had called this meeting. She had bad news to share.
"Now, members of the council,"
she began. Her voice shook. "We have received a distress call from Kepler-4 for Debye. The mining colony there is in terrible danger." The chamber went quiet. Ow. People lived on that colony. They were miners and their families. Good people who worked hard to dig valuable metals from the planet's crust. Zethkara pressed a button. A large screen appeared in the air above her. It showed the colony from space. What everyone saw made them gasp. The colony sat on the planet's surface like a small city. But around the planet, space was full of rocks. Huge asteroids spun and crashed into each other. They moved fast and wild. Some were as big as mountains. A rogue planet passed through their system 3 days ago, Zethkara explained. Pulled an entire asteroid belt out of orbit. The rocks are now falling toward the colony. They have less than 72 hours before the asteroids destroy everything. Archivist spoke up. The crystal being's voice sounded like wind chimes. What about their defenses? Their shields? Gone, Zethkara said sadly. The first wave of small rocks knocked out their defense grid. Their evacuation ships are trapped in their hangars. The asteroid field is too thick. Any ship that tries to leave gets smashed to pieces. Constructor rolled forward on its metal wheels. Its silicon body gleamed under the chamber lights. Our rescue ships cannot handle such conditions. The debris would tear through our hulls. The ethereal collective's vessels are too delicate, whispered a voice like flowing gas. We cannot risk our crews in such chaos. More voices joined in. Every species had the same problem. Our ships were not built for this kind of danger. Their rescue equipment was not strong enough. The asteroid field was too violent, too deadly. Zethkara felt despair growing in her chest. So we just watched them die? 50,000 innocent people? The chamber fell silent again. No one had an answer. No one knew what to do. Then a quiet voice spoke from the back of the room. Earth will handle it. Everyone turned to look. Commander. Sarah Chen sat in the human section. She was small compared to most of the other beings in the room. Her brown hair was pulled back neatly. Her dark eyes were calm and steady. Zethkara blinked in confusion. I'm sorry, Commander Chen. Did you say Earth would handle it? Yes, Sarah said simply. She stood up slowly. We'll take care of the rescue. Nervous laughter came from some of the aliens. The archivist's crystals chimed softly. Commander, we appreciate the offer. But perhaps you don't understand the situation. This isn't a medical emergency or a food shortage. This is a complex military operation in extremely dangerous conditions. Sarah's face didn't change. I understand perfectly. A vegan official spoke up. Humans are, well, you're farmers mostly, and artists. Your people make beautiful music and grow wonderful crops. But this requires serious military capability. Your ships are small, added a constructor. Built for trade and exploration, not for combat or heavy rescue work. Sarah nodded politely. Is that what you think? Well, yes, Zethkara said gently. Earth joined the Confederation only 15 years ago. It's a protected developing species. Your planet was classified as suitable for agriculture and cultural exchange, not military operations. More murmurs went around the room. The aliens all agreed. Humans were nice people, peaceful. They made good food and interesting art. They were friendly traders and curious explorers, but they weren't warriors. They weren't built for dangerous rescue missions. Sarah Chen listened to all of this. Without saying a word, her expression stayed calm. It's almost amused. So you don't want our help? Oh, she asked. It's not that we don't want it, Zethkara said quickly. We're grateful for any assistance. Perhaps Earth could send medical supplies. Food, temporary shelters for the survivors. Survivors. Sarah repeated the word slowly. Well, yes, when. We managed to evacuate some of the colonists. Surely you understand we can't save everyone. The situation is impossible. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. She looked around the room at all the worried faces, at all the beings who had given up. Hope, you're planning to save only some of them, she said. It's the best we can do, the constructor said sadly. We might save 10,000, maybe 15 if we're lucky. And the rest? No one answered. They all looked at the floor. Sarah Chen pulled out a small device and spoke into it. Chen 2 Terran Command. Emergency Authorization 7. Full fleet. Deployment to Kepler 4 for 2B. We have 50,000 civilians to extract from a Class 5 asteroid bombardment zone. The alien stared at her. Voice crackled back through her device. It was deep and calm. Copy that, Commander. Fleet is spinning up now. ITA to target system is 18 hours. Sarah put the device away. She looked at the shocked faces around. Her? We don't plan to save some of them, she said quietly. We're going to save all of them, said Kara. S tentacles froze in surprise. All of them? Commander, that's impossible. The asteroid field is too dangerous. O ship can survive in those conditions. Sarah Chen smiled for the first time since the meeting began. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. You keep talking about our ships like you've seen them, she said, but you haven't. You've seen our trade vessels, our exploration craft, our passenger ships. She walked toward the center of the room. Her boots clicked on the metal floor. You've never seen our real ships. The chamber was completely silent now. Every eye was on the small human woman. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Sarah continued. Do you know what that means? It means our planet tries to kill everything that lives on it. Every day. The weather, the animals, the plants, even the bacteria. Everything on Earth is designed to survive in hell. She stopped in front of Zethkara, and we didn't just survive. We became the apex predators. The ambassador's blue skin turned even paler. What are you saying? Sarah's smile grew wider. I'm saying you asked the wrong species for help. You asked farmers and artists to save your people. She turned to address the entire chamber. But you didn't ask humans. You didn't ask Deathworlders. The room was so quiet that everyone could hear their own heartbeats. Our fleet will be there in 18 hours, Sarah said. And we're going to show you what happens when someone threatens our friends. She walked back to her seat and sat down calmly. The aliens sat in stunned silence. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. 18 hours later, space near Kepler 4 to be exploded with light. The alien rescue ships had been floating safely outside the asteroid field for days. Their crews watched helplessly as rocks the size of cities crashed into each other. Every few minutes, another piece of debris would slam into the planet's surface. Time was running out for the colony below. Then the human fleet arrived. Captain Nexron of the vegan rescue vessel nearly dropped his scanning device. By the void, he whispered. What are those things? 12 massive ships had just dropped out of hyperspace. They were not like any human vessels the galaxy had ever seen. These ships were huge, dark, built like weapons instead of homes. The lead ship was the size of a small moon. Its hull was black metal covered in armor plates. Weapons bristled from every surface. The name painted on its side read Indomitable in letters big enough to see from orbit. This is Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. A voice crackled over the communication channels. The face that appeared on the screens made several aliens step back in fear. Rodriguez was scarred. His left eye was metal. His jaw looked like it had been broken and rebuilt. When he spoke, his voice was calm and cold, like winter ice. We're here for the evacuation, he said simply. Captain Nextron found his voice. Captain Rodriguez, with respect, the asteroid field is too dangerous. We've lost 3 ships already trying to get through. The debris will tear your vessels apart. Rodriguez looked at him for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. Hi, Captain, with respect. You don't know what our ships can do.
Behind.
The Indomitable, the other human vessels, began to move. They formed a wedge shape pointed straight at the asteroid field. Ships with names like Iron Fist and Planet Breaker and Void Hunter lined up in perfect formation. The aliens watched. In growing horror, as they realized what the humans were planning, "You're not going around the field," Dextran said. "You're going through it," correct Rodriguez replied. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared on the screen next to the captain. She looked much friendlier than Rodriguez, but her words were just as frightening. "Don't worry," she said to the alien observers. "This is what we do. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Our ships are built the same way we are, to survive anything." She pulled up charts and data on her screen. Earth is what we call a Class 12 death world. The gravity is twice what most species can handle. Even our plants are poisonous. Dextran looked at the data and felt sick. "How do you survive on such a planet?" "We don't just survive," Dr. Vasquez said. "We became the strongest things on it. Every human you've met is a descendant of creatures that fought their way to the top of the deadliest food chain in known space." She gestured to the ships around them. "These vessels aren't built to avoid danger. They're built to punch through." It as if to prove her point, the human fleet began moving into the asteroid field. The aliens expected to see the ships dodge and weave between the rocks. Instead, they watched in shock as the Indomitable simply rammed straight through an asteroid the size of a building. The rock exploded into dust. The human ship didn't even slow down. "Impossible," whispered an archivist observer. "The kinetic energy alone should have destroyed them." "Our hulls are made from compressed neutronium steel," Dr. Vasquez explained casually. "The same material we use to build structures on Earth. You need something that strong just to stand up under our gravity." More human ships pushed into the field. When they hit asteroids, the rocks broke. When debris bounced off their hulls, it left no marks. The humans moved through the deadly field like it was empty space. Behind the warships came other vessels. Huge industrial ships that looked like flying factories. As the aliens watched, these ships began eating the asteroids. "What are they doing?" Dextran asked. "Mining," Dr. Vasquez said, "returning the debris into raw materials. Metal for building temporary shelters, oxygen and water from the ice rocks, fuel for our ships." "You're harvesting the disaster," Dextran said in amazement. "We don't waste anything. That's how you survive on a death world." The human fleet worked with terrifying efficiency. In just 2 hours, they had carved a wide path through the asteroid field. The path led straight to the colony planet, but that wasn't the most frightening part. The most frightening part was the thing they were building in the center of their formation. The humans had begun assembling something massive. Pieces came out of their ships and locked together in space. Robot workers welded and connected parts with mechanical precision. "What is that?" Dextran asked. Captain Rodriguez answered. "Mobile Command Fortress. They'll serve as our base of operations for the rescue." "How long will it take to build?" 6 hours. Dextran checked his instruments. "The colony has less than 50 hours before the next wave of asteroids hits." "Then we better get moving," Rodriguez said, as they watched. Swarms of smaller human ships launched from the main fleet. These were not the peaceful trade vessels the galaxy knew. These were dropships, combat transports, ships designed to land on hostile worlds and deliver soldiers who could fight in any environment. "What are you landing?" Dextran asked. "Everything," Dr. Vasquez replied. "Emergency shelters, medical equipment, food processors, transport vehicles, and about 10,000 Marines in powered armor. 10,000 soldiers for a rescue mission?" Rodriguez looked at him seriously. "Captain, we're not just rescuing these people. We're relocating an entire colony in less than 2 days." That's a military operation on the scale of planetary invasion. But these are civilians, miners, and their families. They're people who need help, Rodriguez said simply. That makes them our responsibility. The alien observers fell silent as they watched the human operation unfold. Ships that could survive ramming through asteroids. Industrial vessels that could eat space debris and turn it into building materials. Soldiers who could work in the vacuum of space like it was their natural environment, and all of it organized with the cold efficiency of a machine designed for war. How many rescue operations like this have you done? Exerin asked quietly. Dr. Vasquez smiled sadly. This is our first one since joining the Confederation. Your first? But you work like you've done this 1,000 times. We have, she said, just not in space. On Earth, disasters like this happen every few months. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, meteor impacts. We've been running rescue operations since before we discovered fire. She gestured to the human fleet carving its way through. The asteroid field like it was built for this exact purpose. The difference is scale. On Earth, we save thousands of people at a time. Today, we're saving 50,000. Rodriguez appeared on screen again. All ships prepare for planetfall. First wave of evacuees will be loaded in 36 hours. We have work to do. The alien observers watched as humanity unleashed itself on the problem. It asked for aid. They were getting something much more dangerous. They were getting Deathworlders, who had decided that something was worth protecting. The first human dropship hit the colony's surface like a meteor. But instead of explosion, there was organization. Within minutes, armored figures poured out of the landed ship, moved with purpose across the rocky ground. Each human soldier, war-powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. Their faces were hidden behind helmets that glowed with data displays. Inside the colony's emergency bunker, the trapped civilians watched through security cameras. They were a mix of species from across the galaxy. Vegan families with their children, archivist scholars, constructor engineers. All of them had lived and worked together peacefully for years. Now they huddled in fear as death reigned from the Skydot Colony Administrator Velktar was a tall vegan with deep blue skin. He had run this mining operation for 10 years. He had never seen anything like what was happening outside. Are those really humans? Asked Dr. Morgan, the colony's chief. Scientist. She was an archivist, her crystal body flickering with nervous energy. The Confederation said humans were peaceful, Velktar replied. Farmers and artists. They watched as the armored humans set up equipment with mechanical precision. Large machines appeared from nowhere. Prefabricated buildings unfolded like flowers blooming in fast motion. Within an hour, there was a small city outside their bunker. Then one of the humans knocked on their door. Velktar opened the airlock carefully. The human who stood there was huge, even without the armor. When she removed her helmet, they saw a woman with short black hair and kind eyes. But her smile showed teeth that looked very sharp. Administrator Velktar, I'm Sergeant Maria Santos, Terran Marine Corps. We're here to get you folks out of this mess. Velktar tried to find words. Sergeant, the asteroid field above us is impossible to cross. We've lost every ship that tried to leave. Santos looked up at the sky, where rocks were still falling like deadly rain. That does look pretty nasty. Good thing we didn't come the normal way. What do you mean? We came through it, she said simply. Our ships are built tough. He had to punch through about 50 miles of spinning death rocks to get here, but that's just Tuesday for us. Dr. Morgan stepped forward. How is that possible? Kinetic energy alone should have destroyed any vessel. Santos shrugged. Doc, where I come from, call what's happening up there. Light weather. You should see what happens when Earth gets really angry. She gestured to the activity outside. We've got temporary housing for all 50,000 of you, medical facilities, food processing, entertainment for the kids. Everything you need while we load you onto the transports. Transports? Velktar asked. But the asteroid field, ... is being cleared as we speak, Santos finished. Our mining ships are eating their way through it. Should have a nice clean corridor opened up in about 12 hours, as if summoned by. Her words, explosions lit up the sky above them. But these weren't random impacts. These were controlled detonations. precise and calculated. "What's happening up there?" Dr. Morgan asked. Santos tapped a device on her wrist. Images appeared in the air, showing space above the planet. Human ships moved through the asteroid field like sharks through water. When they encountered rocks too big to push aside, they simply blew them up. "That's Corporal, right?" Santos said, pointing to a figure jumping between asteroids and space. "He's setting shaped charges to break up the big ones. Standard demolition work." The aliens watched in horror as the human soldier leaped from rock to rock in the vacuum of space. He moved like he was jumping between stepping stones in a stream. Each time he landed, he planted an explosive device and jumped to the next asteroid. "He's in space," Dr. Morgan whispered. "No ship, no safety line. It's just his armor," Santos confirmed. "Powered exoskeleton with 8 hours of life support. More than enough for this job." "What if he misses a jump?" Santos looked at her strangely. "Doc, humans have been jumping between dangerous places since before we had tools. It's what we do." More explosions followed. The human soldier finished his work and jetted back toward one of the ships using thrusters built into his armor. He moved through the deadly field like he was flying through empty air. "How long have your people been doing things like this?" Velktar asked. "Rescue operations? About 2 million years, give or take. We've been pulling each other out of danger since we learned to walk upright." Santos led them outside to see the human base camp. What had been empty ground an hour ago was now a small city. Buildings, vehicles, equipment, and people working with purpose. "The dangerous stuff," she continued. "Jumping between rocks and space, fighting through asteroid fields, landing on hostile planets. That's just military training. Every human Marine learns this stuff." Constructor engineer named Zixtel rolled up to them on his metal wheels. "Sergeant Santos, this is remarkable. How did you build all this so quickly?" "Practice," she replied. "On Earth, we have to set up emergency camps all the time. Hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions. Natural disasters happen every few weeks somewhere on our planet." "Every few weeks?" Dr. Morgan asked in shock. "Sometimes more often than that. Earth is what we call geologically active. The ground moves. The weather tries to kill everything. The ocean rises and falls. Mountains explode. Pretty standard stuff." Ixtal's optical sensors blinked rapidly. "How do you survive on such a world?" "We adapted," Santos said. "Your planet tries to kill you every day, you'll learn to be ready for anything." Above them, the human ships continued their work. They moved through the asteroid field with casual confidence, treating the deadly space debris like a minor inconvenience. Every few minutes, another section of the field would explode into manageable pieces. "Are they destroying the entire field?" Velktar asked. "Just the dangerous parts," Santos replied. "The rocks heading for the planet, the big ones that block our escape route. The rest were harvesting for raw materials." "Harvesting?" Santos pointed to a group of massive industrial ships. They were literally eating asteroids, breaking them down into component materials and storing them in their cargo holds. Metal for building materials, ice for water and oxygen, rare elements for electronics. Nothing goes to waste when humans are involved. A new alarm sounded from the colony's emergency systems. A massive asteroid, bigger than any they had seen, was falling toward them. The tracking computers showed it would hit the colony directly in less than 20 minutes. The colonists began to panic. But Santos just tapped her wrist device again. "Santos, 2, Indomitable. We've got a big one coming in, requesting fire support." "Aped." Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled back. "Copy that, Sergeant. Target acquired. Stand by for fireworks." High above, the human battleship turned to face the incoming asteroid. Weapons that had been hidden behind armor plates emerged from the ship's hull. They were massive, clearly designed for destroying things much larger than ships. "What are those?" Dr. Morgan asked. "Planetary defense cannons," Santos said casually. "We use them for asteroid mining back home. They can crack a moon if you need them to." The Indomitable fired. Beams of energy that made the sun look dim reached out across space. They hit the massive asteroid dead center. The rock, which had been big enough to destroy the entire colony, simply vanished. turned to dust in an instant. The colonists stared in silence. Then Velktar found his voice. You carry weapons that can destroy moons? Santos nodded. Standard equipment on exploration vessels. You never know when you might need to clear some space debris. Space debris? Dr. Morgan repeated weakly. That's what we call it. Rocks floating in space where they don't belong. She looked at the aliens' shocked faces and seemed to realize something. All right, you folks probably aren't used to this kind of thing. Don't worry. We'll have you out of here safely in no time. Atansos smiled again, showing those sharp teeth. Trust me, this is what humans do. We protect our friends. The evacuation went like clockwork until Corporal James Wright died. It happened during the third day of operations. The human Marines had been working non-stop to load colonists onto transport ships. Families with children went first, then the elderly and sick. The process was smooth and efficient. Wright was helping load a group of archivist children onto a transport when the accident happened. A piece of debris no bigger than a dinner plate came spinning out of the asteroid field. It moved too fast for anyone to see. The metal fragment punched through Wright's armor like it was paper. Emergency alarms screamed from his suit.
Our red warning lights
Flashed across his helmet display. Dr. Morgan was standing nearby when it happened. She saw the human soldier stagger, saw the hole in his chest armor, saw the air leaking out in a white. Cloud medic, someone shouted. Wright looked down at the hole in his chest. Then he looked at the 3 archivist children who were still climbing into the transport. They were scared, crying. They needed help. Wright stepped forward and lifted the first child. His suit alarms got louder. More air leaked out with each movement, but he kept working. Corporal, you need medical attention, Dr. Morgan said. You're losing pressure. Kids first. Wright replied. His voice was calm through the suit radio. Always, kids first. He lifted the second child, then the third. Made sure they were safely strapped in. Only then did he allow the human medics to reach him by the time they got his helmet off. Wright was blue from lack of oxygen. Dr. Morgan had studied human anatomy, but seeing it up close was different. His ribcage was built like armor. His heart was huge, with thick walls designed to pump blood even under high pressure. His bones were dense as metal. But even Deathworlder biology had limits. I've got 3 kids, Wright whispered to Sergeant Santos as the medics worked on him. Back on Earth. Take care of these ones for me. Then he closed his eyes and stopped breathing. The human medics tried everything. Drugs that would kill most aliens, electric shocks that could restart a stopped heart, surgery right there on the ground with tools that looked like weapons. Nothing worked. Dr. Morgan watched a human die for the first time. She had expected it to be different somehow. More dramatic, but Wright just looked like he was sleeping. What surprised her was how the other humans reacted. They didn't stop working. Sergeant Santos closed Wright's eyes gently. Then she picked up his equipment and kept loading colonists. The other Marines did the same. They worked harder than before, faster, with a cold efficiency that made Dr. Morgan's crystals dim with fear. Shouldn't you stop? She asked Santos. Shouldn't you mourn him? Santos looked at her with eyes like winter ice. We'll mourn him when everyone is safe. Right now, we have work to do. But he's dead. He died saving our children. That's what humans do, Santos replied. We die for each other. We die for strangers. We die for people we've never met, because it's the right thing to do. She gestured to the other Marines loading colonists. Every one of these soldiers knows they might not go home. It came anyway, because 50,000 people needed help. Dr. Morgan followed Santos to the next transport. How can you be so calm about death? Because being upset won't bring him back. But saving more lives will make his death mean something. Continued, but now Dr. Morgan noticed things she had missed before. The way the humans moved with mechanical precision, the way they checked and double-checked everything, the way they treated each colonist like their own family. She also noticed the cost. More human soldiers were getting hurt. Not all of them died like Wright, but injuries were constant. Broken bones from working in heavy gravity, burns from handling dangerous equipment, cuts from sharp metal debris, Any one of these injuries would put an alien in the hospital for weeks. The humans just bandaged themselves and kept working. How do you handle so much pain? Dr. Morgan asked a Marine named Collins. He was loading heavy equipment with a bandaged arm that was clearly broken. Pain means you're still alive, Collins replied. Dead people don't hurt, but your arm is broken. It's my left arm. I can still work with my right. Dr. Morgan watched him lift a crate that weighed more than she did. With one good arm? Like it was nothing. Are all humans like this? Collins thought about it pretty much. You have to be tough to survive on Earth. Everything there wants to kill you. The weather, the animals, the plants, even some of the rocks. The rocks, radiation, toxic minerals, unstable ground. Earth is not a friendly place. He loaded another crate, but it made us strong enough to help people who need it. By the fourth day, almost all the colonists were loaded onto transports. Only a few thousand remained on the planet. The human operation had worked perfectly. No colonist had been lost. No alien had been hurt. But the humans had paid a price. 3 more soldiers had died. Dozens were injured. They kept working anyway. Dr. Morgan found herself staying close to the human base camp. She wanted to understand these strange beings. Who threw their lives away for strangers? Late at night, she saw Sergeant Santos sitting alone. The Marine was cleaning Wright's rifle. Her hands moved with practiced care, checking every part. What will you do with that? Dr. Morgan asked. Send it home to his family, Santos replied, along with his medals and his personal effects. What will you tell his children? Santos was quiet for a long moment. That their father died saving. Kids, that he was a hero, that they should be proud of him. Will that help them? No. Nothing helps when you lose someone you love. But knowing why he died might help them understand why it mattered. Dr. Morgan sat down next to the human. Why do you do this? Why do you risk everything for people you don't know? Up at the stars, because someone has to. Because if we don't, who will? The Confederation has other species. Other militaries? Name one that would fly through an asteroid field to save strangers. Dr. Morgan tried to think of an answer. She couldn't? This is what we are, Santos continued. We protect things. It's built into us. Our families, our friends, our communities. And now that we're part of the galaxy, that includes everyone, she went back to cleaning the rifle. Wright knew the risks. We all do. But he also knew that 3 children needed help. For humans, that's an easy choice. Even if it kills you. Especially if it kills us. Death is just the price we pay for doing what's right. The transport ships continued loading through the night. By morning, only 500 colonists remained on the planet. The evacuation was almost complete. But the humans weren't done yet. They had one more surprise for the galaxy, and this one would change everything. The last transport ship lifted off from Kepler 44 to be at dawn on the 5th day. All 50,000 colonists were safe. The evacuation was complete. The mission was over. But the human fleet didn't leave. Instead, they got busy. Dr. Morgan watched. From the observation deck of the vegan rescue ship, below them, the human vessels moved with purpose around the planet. They weren't preparing to depart. They were preparing to stay. What are they doing? She asked Captain Nexron. The vegan officer checked his instruments. I'm not sure they appear to be building something. On the planet's surface, human construction crews worked around the clock, the temporary shelters they had built for. The evacuation were being replaced with permanent structures. Mining equipment appeared from the cargo holds of the industrial ships. Power generators hummed to life in space above the planet. Something even more impressive was taking shape. The mobile fortress the humans had assembled during the rescue was growing. New sections were being added every hour. Weapons platforms. Sensor arrays. Docking bays for ships. What had started as a temporary command post was becoming a permanent installation. This is Captain Rodriguez. The human commander's voice came over the communication channels. All rescue ships are cleared to depart. The colonists will be transferred to their new homes as requested. Captain Nexron activated his communication system. Captain Rodriguez, What about your fleet? Rodriguez appeared on the screen. His scarred face showed no emotion. We're not leaving, Captain. I don't understand. We're staying here. This won't happen again. Dr. Morgan leaned forward. Captain Rodriguez, the asteroid threat is over. The field has been cleared. There's no reason to maintain a presence here. Doctor, with respect, you're wrong. There's every reason to maintain a presence here. The communication channel filled with other voices. Alien captains from a dozen species all asking the same questions. What were the humans doing? Why weren't they leaving? What was the purpose of the fortress? Commander Sarah Chen's voice cut through the confusion. She was aboard the Indomitable, speaking from the bridge. This is what protection looks like.
How?
The screen changed to show a tactical display of the local star system. Red markers showed the paths of rogue asteroids. Yellow markers showed other potential threats. Green markers showed safe shipping lanes. We've established a monitoring station. Here, Chen explained. Early warning systems that can detect threats from 3 light years away. Automated defense platforms that can destroy incoming objects before they become dangerous. A garrison of Marines ready to respond to any emergency. But why? Asked Captain Nexron. The immediate danger is over. The immediate danger, Rodriguez said, was just one asteroid field. This system sits on a major shipping route. Millions of beings pass through here every year. If something like this happens again, we'll be ready. Dr. Morgan felt a chill run through her crystal structure. How long will you stay? Forever, Chen replied simply. This is our sector now. The aliens fell silent. Implications were staggering. Humans weren't just rescuing the colonists. They were claiming responsibility for protecting the entire star system. You can't just declare ownership of a star system, protested a constructor captain. The Confederation has laws about territorial expansion. We're not claiming ownership, Rodriguez said. We're claiming responsibility. There's a difference. What difference? Owners take things for themselves. Guardians protect things for everyone. Chen brought up more data on the tactical display. We've already begun upgrading the shipping lanes. Better navigation beacons. Emergency supply stations. Patrol routes to keep pirates away. Any ship that passes through this system will be safer because we're here. And if the Confederation objects, asked Thexron. Rodriguez smiled his cold. Smile. Let them object. We didn't ask permission to save those colonists. We're not asking permission to protect them now. The communication channels erupted with arguments. Some aliens supported the human decision. Others called it illegal expansion. Still others worried about the military implications. Chen let them argue for a few minutes. Then she spoke again. 3 days ago, you all sat in the Galactic Council and decided that 50,000 people were going to die. You called it impossible. To save them, you started planning funerals instead of rescues. Her voice was quiet but carried the weight of absolute authority. We didn't accept that. We came here and saved every single life, and now we're making sure it never happens again. But you're just one species, protested the constructor captain. You can't protect the entire galaxy. Watch us, Rodriguez said. Dr. Morgan realized what she was witnessing. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a declaration. Humanity was announcing to the galaxy that they would no longer accept preventable deaths. They would no longer allow tragedies that could be stopped with sufficient force and will. You're not asking for permission, she said quietly. You're telling us what you're going to do. Now you're beginning to understand, Chen replied. Captain Nexron looked at his instruments again. Captain Rodriguez, our sensors show that you're building more than just a monitoring station. Those are military-grade installations. Correct. This is a forward operating base for the Terran Defense Force. Defense against what? Rodriguez's expression grew even colder. Against anything that threatens the people we've sworn to protect. Pirates who attack shipping, warlords who prey on weak colonies, natural disasters that can be prevented with proper preparation. He gestured to the growing fortress. And against anyone who thinks they can hurt innocent people while we're watching. The alien captains began to understand. The humans weren't just protecting this one system. They were establishing a military presence in galactic space. They were positioning themselves to intervene anywhere they felt it was necessary. The Confederation will never approve this, Thexron said. Confederation, Chen replied, classified. Us as a protected developing species 15 years ago. They assumed we needed their protection. She paused. They got it backwards. We're not here to be protected. We're here to be the protectors. Messages began flooding in from other ships in the area. Merchant vessels requesting permission to dock. At the human station, colony ships asking for escort through dangerous space. Even military vessels from other species offering to coordinate patrols. The galaxy had gotten its first real look at what humans were capable of. And instead of fear, many felt something else: relief. For the first time in galactic history, there was a species willing to fight for strangers, willing to die for people they had never met, willing to stand between the innocent and anything that would hurt them. This changes everything, Dr. Morgan whispered. Yes, Chen agreed. It does. Rodriguez appeared on screen one final time. All civilian vessels are cleared to approach the station for supplies and assistance. Military vessels requesting coordination should contact our defense coordinator. And to anyone listening who might be thinking about causing trouble in this, Sector ... Double quotes his smile was not pleasant at all. Think again. This system is under human protection now. We don't negotiate with threats. We don't compromise with evil. And we never, ever give up. The communication channel went quiet. Dr. Morgan looked out at the human fortress growing in space, at the patrol ships beginning their rounds, at the proof that somewhere in the galaxy, someone was willing to stand guard. They thought we'd send aid, she said to herself, remembering the emergency council session 5 days ago. But Earth hadn't sent aid. Earth had sent Deathworlders, and the galaxy would never be the same in the depths of space. Other threats, too. Galactic Peace received the message loud and clear. The humans were no longer content to grow crops and make art. They had become the galaxy's guardians, and guardians, as everyone was about to learn, were far more dangerous than conquerors.